We're live. Hi, Facebook.
Hello.
Here we are, Facebook. We on a Sistahship on the Midday tea. We on a Sistahship on the Midday tea. Woo!
I love your energy, honestly.
Thank you.
Tiff, unmute so we can hear.
We can't hear you. She is singing the Sistahship because she's rolling on a Sistahship. We can't hear you, but we love you, and we know what you are doing.
Look at her going.
Oh, hey, oh, hey, because see,
I don't want to turn it on because it put me at the wrong spot.
She having a good time.
Yeah, she is.
That's what love is about, with her chef hat looking so pretty.
Chef Boyardee over
Chef
there,
Boyardee.
yes.
See, one thing I gotta get my game up with I don't have a daggone apron. I just realized.
I
don't have one either.
I don't have an apron.
I have a million of them.
That's crazy this. I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, I don't have an apron. But
You know, they don't push aprons like they used to.
They don't.
But they make really cute ones. They have bling on them, all types of things.
You know why, right? Because they're not making them for the actual kitchen.
That's another show.
We bring that into the bedroom with some chocolate and cherries and some.
Look at this one with her banana pudding.
Good time.
We can't hear the music, Tiffany.
And
we can't hear the music.
And whipped cream.
Good time. I love this.
I don't think she realizes
I'm
that
so
she's
glad our viewers are getting this whole exclusive. You know, and we know she's singing something.
Yeah.
We know that. And we know she's singing on key, you know, because that's what we want to believe in our mind.
Okay, she opened up. There she go.
There it
is. We on a Sistahship. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey. Oh, it's a lane switch. Okay, but see, now she's
I don't see Mama C's picture on here.
No, Mama C is in with Tiffany right
I'm so tight with the plan that
All right, good morning, actually, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. I'm so happy to have all the sisters from the Sistahship on with us today. Woohoo!
Happy Thanksgiving Eve.
Thank you. Yes. I know there's a whole lot of bacon going on, sauteing, marinating.
That's right.
Yes, shopping, all kind of great stuff. So we're super excited to have all of you on today. Our topic is going to be attitude of gratitude and how we can use certain techniques to kind of shift our mindsets a little bit, because let's just face it, we're all human. We all go through stuff or ish, and we need, to have different types of coping mechanisms to be able to cope, especially in this time and this season, dealing with COVID, dealing with people out of work, dealing with people being sick. We all need to kind of band together and give each other some pointers and some energy sometimes, because sometimes, I'm sitting in my house, finish work, and I'm like, I'm feeling drained. I'm feeling put out because I deal with people every day. So you need to call up that friend like Tiffany Rose energy, like, hey girl, I need some of that
That's
energy.
right.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So
we're that energy and send it around.
Exactly. Share it. Oh my gosh. So today we're just going to be discussing how you ladies, and for those in the chat room, chime in as well, are able to focus on gratitude, and by doing that, how that has changed your life. how it has changed your thought process, how it has changed things that come to you, how it has changed your family life and people around you. So I'm going to open it up to you ladies, whoever wants to go ahead and chime in first. You got it.
Say, if you see in the background, there's a lot
Hello,
of
Sean.
Yes, there's a guy back there.
And being grateful of meeting a partner and a life partner and a lover is, you know, especially I come from an environment where I saw a lot of single moms, and I really knew I could do that really well because I had the blueprint for that. And then I met this beautiful man in church, and we were able to grow together, and he was able to actually teach me how to be a wife. So I'm really grateful for a man, and I would share with women, if you're looking for a partner, to find someone that has some of the answers of the things you don't know. That way you're not competing with who's the guru of what. And I was able to find somebody that knew that aspect of life a lot better than I did and was able to share. And I'm so grateful 20-umpteen years later, 22 years married, and he likes to say 26 years together. It's really 25 because y'all know the first year don't count, right? Because they showing the representative.
Avatar.
Well, I guess his
yeah,
avatar was a
one.
decent one.
Yes.
So I'm really thankful and I'm grateful for that. And I'm gonna tell you something I was grateful for this year. And it's so silly, but I'm cooking for Thanksgiving, right? And I was, you know, I never thought about this because, you know, we sacrifice so much, but I was grateful that I had the $5 to buy $1 worth of onions and carrots that's already chopped up. Because you know this, if you did it yourself, it's $1. But the fact that someone did it for me, I was willing to pay the $5.06. So I am grateful at a time in my life that I can buy the stuff already chopped, because there's many of Thanksgiving, and I was sharing with my sister-in-law today. There was a Thanksgiving I was homeless. There was many Thanksgivings I was at somebody's job. So I'm so grateful that in this year of such a crazy time where there's so many things happening, that something as maybe small for somebody else, but big for me, that I was able to spend this on this. So this is my Gucci bag of the season. All right.
Yeah.
I just want to say that. I'm
That's
grateful
right.
for that.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
point taken, you never forget where you came from, right? You
Right,
never
right.
forget, even no matter how high you climb that ladder, you came from a rooted place. And I think most of us who've not always had an easy life, we have to always hold on to that because it humbles you, right? It humbles you through your life of moving forward. So if you never forget where you came from, you're always grateful for what comes into your life, no matter how big or small, right? I mean, yeah, you should always be grateful.
That is like super important what Tiffanie shared, because also another thing people don't realize is that the value of your time, you know, and dollar cost averaging. So how much time would it have cost her to chop up all those different, you know, onions and carrots and celery and stuff like that? She's grateful to this point that she's come to be able to say, not that, you know, I'm better or anything like that, but it's worth the $5 and that I have it to be able to pay, to have the convenience. And now that frees my time up for something else, you know.
And and identifying the person who did it for her, you know, being grateful for them. So absolutely, Cherese, that's absolutely, I agree 100% with that.
I actually have a friend of mine that texted me yesterday, and she said, I hope you don't get offended by this. So I was kind of, now you piqued my curiosity. Why would I be offended? So she says to me, do you know anyone that is in need of food for Thanksgiving? And I said to her, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are in need. And yesterday, I was looking at the news, and it brought me to tears. When you look at all of these food lines that people are on, you know, they just want to feed their families. So gratitude. If you have nothing but a tuna fish sandwich tomorrow, that's a reason to be grateful, you know. Yes. And I told her, I said, if you want, I'll meet you today. We'll figure out, let's get some gift cards. Let people pick out what they want, because they may be able to stretch it a little bit farther than what we would, because we're thinking Thanksgiving and they're thinking eating the rest of the week.
Right.
You know, so we have to be grateful for that, you know. So there's so many things to be grateful for, but if you want to be grateful for the season, be grateful that you have a roof, food, because there's so many without jobs right now. Unfortunately, COVID has been a curse and a blessing to many. And by the grace of God, many of us are still here to say what we're grateful and thankful for. So to have an attitude of gratitude, it's catchy. It's also contagious. Because either you could stay in a negative place, or you can share it and share the smile. I see people that's all the time, oh, I can't believe that we got to wear these masks, but you're here to feel the mask on your face. It's uncomfortable, but you're here. So I'd rather be in the house with the 4 people that's going to sit down and have dinner with me tomorrow and love you enough not to be in your house. You know? You know, I think that's an attitude for gratitude right there. It's the fact that we all have someplace to be, and we have a home to be in it. You know?
There's a reason. I mean, I don't know who gave you the nickname. I don't know if it's, I can't even give it a nick. It is the name, Lady Wisdom. Anytime I hear her voice, I tell you, I'm at church. And I don't need the steeple and the cross. I'm just talking about the fellowship of information, inspiration, to make it acclamation to what you do on a regular basis. If I could just have a book of acclamations from Lady Wisdom Sherry, and I just go one day a week, one day a day, you know, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, just something powerful. It's just powerful. I mean,
and her voice.
Show, but I'm good. I'm good right now. I'm good.
And Sherry, your voice,
your voice is that. I do.
Yeah, your voice is so calming and very comfortable. I feel like a hug around me when
thank you. And I'm a hugger, so you know I really like to give each of you ladies a big hug.
I miss hugging. Oh God, I miss hugging so much.
Ladies hug.
Feel it.
Yeah, I miss hugging a lot.
To everyone in the chat room, oh my gosh, like being the things that being on lockdown, right? I don't know if you guys felt this, but made me realize so many things that I took for granted, you know? And being 3 months in a house alone, like at that time I had no dog, you know, my daughter's already moved out. So it's just me here, work and my thoughts. And like when I finally was able to do a lunch with my friends, I really didn't know how to respond, you know, because we were huggers, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. But we weren't able to do that. And then on top of that, staying grateful, like, oh, I'm grateful I have this, I'm grateful I have that. But I was just so out of sorts. Like, it was like I was not myself. I did not know how to just be. I was kind of nervous.
Yeah.
I was just kind of nervous, you know, so I'm like, I got to get back to myself. But even now with this holiday, it's still different because, you know, people are afraid to go over to other people's homes and stuff and vice versa and stuff like that. So now it's a new way of life. It's a new way of living. It's a new way of thinking. And when you do that, it shifts your DNA a little bit. They call it neuro-linguistic program, and we're programming ourselves now differently than the way we used to live and think of stuff. So I felt that this topic was like very suiting for now because so many people are going through so many different things. And as Sherry alluded to, you know, the bread lines, and so many people are out of work and hungry. You know, I was going to take the garbage out, and it was one of my neighbors is on a walker, and the other one, he's older too. And I said, oh, you know, good afternoon. How are you guys? Oh, well, I was like, well, any day above ground is a great day.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, and we're human and we have feelings and we go through stuff, and that's normal. And sometimes we need to process that, but we also have to realize that there's people who are not talking right now. There's people who are not standing up or walking right now. You know, there's people who are not able to, instead of being having Thanksgiving, they're wondering if they're going to be living where they're living right now. So there's just so many different things that we have to realize that people are going through, you know, besides our little piddle paddle stuff, you know.
Right.
But you know, I tell you, the one thing that I've learned in this time is, if you didn't know what "don't sweat the small stuff" means, COVID has taught, as I said, it was a curse and a blessing in itself.
Yes.
Because the little things like, for some of us, what might be little for us is maybe somebody's major. You
Right.
know, like,
Yes. Yeah.
I was looking at my walls, and the maintenance man, I rent an apartment, and the maintenance man was saying that they could come in and they could paint for me. And a neighbor said to me, you want them to paint your walls? I was like, yeah, you know, I'd like a different color in here. And so even when the maintenance guy was telling me what color that they would paint, he would, you know, that to me, I actually had to tell him, you know what, if anything, let me wait until the top of the new year. Let me think about it, because as some people are wondering where they're going to live, something as small as a paint job, it's just that to me. It's the small stuff now, because I'd rather just have a roof over my head with a wall that a color I don't want than to be kind of figure out, well, am I going to be able to pay my rent next month? And if I'm not able to pay it, how soon before, where could I go? You know, like the stuff that we've been dealing with, even COVID, like COVID has put a damper on it. So you have people that are complaining about not being able to socialize with their family. Zoom has been a great creation. We also have, not only has this been a great creation for us, but FaceTime. You want to sit down, open your phone, what is Skype?
Yeah.
Periscope, Zoom. You got the free conference calls. You'll have a way to be with your family and be grateful that your family is in their own divided worlds, but safe.
But
you know,
right. Looking at each other's, and again, being a real estate broker, you know, I hear the stories. I mean, I think right now we're actually up a little bit with our rentals, but for a complete county to only have 40, 30 something rentals available, and we get, you know, so many applications per rental, that means, you know, every time we turn away 30 applications, that's 30 people that still need somewhere to go. And, you know, and so it's crazy right now. You're talking about painting. I'm actually getting that done as we speak for my bedroom. But, you know, I heard, I don't want to say it too loud because they don't know, but around 2:00 today, I have a whole meal that we have bought for them because I had a conversation.
You know what? That is so awesome.
You know what I'm saying? So I know, I recognize, and I know I don't know where I was sharing this, but I was saying that I remember being a little girl for Christmas, and my mom had me on her 16th birthday. So, okay. And it was no daddy. I didn't meet my dad till I was almost 8 years old. So that's the reality. And her mom died before I was born. So there was no real, community in a sense, like that family community. And I remember Christmas coming and we finally got an apartment because for the first few years, that's in the book. I'll talk about that later. But for the first few years, it was kind of kooky. We finally get an apartment and it's Christmas. So somehow there was a tree. But, and there was no furniture or anything like that. And this woman, I couldn't tell you what the woman's face was. I don't know the woman. I don't know her name, but she knocked on the door Christmas Eve really late and gave my mother a gift and said, this is for the baby. So the next day, of course, I know I'm hearing about the Santa Claus thing and I've heard this and this and this and that. And the next morning I woke up and under the tree was the gift the woman gave. Nothing else changed. But in my mind, that was Santa. And I opened that gift and it was a doll. And I named the doll Cherese. And I played with this doll forever. But this was the best thing ever in life. And so I say, I was so grateful, and I'm grateful to this day, and I'll share a little bit, go deeper with you with that. So our office, every year, we've been in existence, this is our 4th Christmas in existence, 3rd year as a company. Every year we donate toys to the children in the shelter at the Monroe County's Women's Resources. And every year we've been able to give the children, each child, at least 3 gifts, wrapped gifts a piece to open. And I'm so thankful for that because our first year,
Absolutely.
there was no money. There was no money. I had no money and God provided. And as time, donations and people and things we provided. So I say that the time when that one woman bought me that one gift, it pierced me in a way that I took this confirmation of being grateful and being able to be a giver to an adult life, that there is nothing else that I will do Christmas. If we don't have gifts here, those kids there will have gifts, because I know that a child shouldn't have to deal with the chaos. And if I can take away some of their chaos because someone took away my chaos, then that's the purpose. And everything else is whatever. Everything else is whatever.
Like paying it forward. You're
Paying it forward, yes.
Because of the positive impact that it had on your life. And people don't understand when when you have both your hands open and you're able to give, how that changes someone's life. And they may not express it to you because they're going through their own emotional, mental, maybe physical type stuff, but it impacts their life on a level where they never forget. And even sometimes you may not even have contact with them, but they never forget that one time that this person, whether they knew them or not, did X, Y, and Z, and it caused this chain reaction for them. Last year I was really going through it, and I had some people that stepped up for me. And just recently I was able to call them and tell them, because none of them really knew what was going on. They were just like, whatever you need, I'll do it. And I'm like, okay, well, this is what I need. And they're like, well, you can share it with me if you want. And I said, it's a long story, but I'm going to tell you that what you did for me in that time changed my life.
Amen.
Forever. And I'm so grateful for you guys, for doing that. And with them, with their kindness and their love, I was able to give kindness and love and understanding to other people and also to my family. So it causes this chain reaction, and there's like the scarlet thread in life that we're all connected, somehow. And people don't realize the power in that. This morning I was in my kitchen making breakfast, and I have all these spices that my brother had. So I'm putting them away, and I'm like, people don't even realize that we are all of these elements. So, salt, life, water, air, all the supplements, minerals and magnesium and potassium, like we're all of this. And I'm in my kitchen and I'm like, I'm just so grateful to have the realization of that. You know, if that's all I got for today, this morning, I should say, you know, that I am all of these things, and that means that I am say magical, but I'm a universal being, you know? Like Tiffany Coco always says, drink water. We are mostly water, you know?
But today I'm drinking Moet. And with a shot of some Saint Germain.
Woo! Love Saint Germain. Love Saint Germain.
You know what we do, baby. You know how we do it.
Look, she gonna be in the kitchen, so.
I'm in the kitchen.
Yes.
And I'm gonna give you a tip that I learned how to brine. Use some champagne, girl. Use some champagne.
Yes, you gotta put it in either champagne, beer, or white wine. Yes, excellent.
I ain't gonna use the Mo. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I ain't gonna use the Mo in the turkey. I'm gonna use good champagne. I'm not gonna use the Mo. The Mo gotta go down the throat.
But you know, Cherese, what you're saying is true, because you are the ingredient that feeds me, and vice versa. We're all the ingredients of each other, right? So we feed each other, we create the recipe, and we bake it well, right? I mean, it's life. So that's a great analogy of who we all are. You know, we are the ingredients of each other. Absolutely.
That was definitely quality time that you spent with yourself and in your thoughts. Like to actually put that together, like just for others hearing that, you done touched somebody so deep that they might not have felt like, I can't explain that to somebody. They wouldn't understand that.
Right.
And you just touched them, and they probably just melted right there and said, somebody knows where I'm at. Like,
yes.
The one thing that you learned in your quarantine time is actually you're learning more about you.
Yeah.
Do you know how many of us have not ever had the time to learn about us?
I didn't.
I left my mother's house.
Still.
I was in my ex-husband's house. He and I parted, and I had to learn how to function on my own as a parent. I'm still a parent. I'm a grandparent now, but I actually had to learn who I was, because if I didn't like my company, there's no way you would like my company.
Somebody else is going to like it. Exactly.
So, and just hearing that, you realize that you're minerals. That means that you realize how important you are to you. So aren't those the things that keep us alive? The water. We have to drink water, right?
It's not the other stuff. And we forget about the simple.
I love you, Cherese. Talk it.
Okay. You touched on something. I had my daughter, I got pregnant when I was 17. I had her when I was 18. So I went from high school to motherhood. You know, graduation, I took my state boards in September. I delivered in October. Woo! Then I went right into, I took 2 months off. I went straight to work. And by the time my daughter was 2, I was working full-time and a full-time college student. You know, then, you know, when she was 9, I got married, but I'm now divorced. And I never figured out who I am. I never had that opportunity to take a deep introspection to say, what does Cherese want? You know, what type of life? Like, I'm grateful, and believe me, I got a lot of flack because I came from a very religious family who didn't celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas and all this other stuff. So that's another thing that, you know, we had to like kind of change our DNA. Deprogram ourselves from. And who am I? You know, I'm not Chanel's mother anymore, because now Chanel's a mother herself.
No, you're always a mother.
I'm still her mom, but
let me tell you,
when
you fierce, girl. You fierce.
Thank you.
My
You
mother,
know,
right now, she is a hottie on fleek. Okay? She got all that mother stuff out the way.
Yeah,
And she's
right.
doing the damn thing.
you know, you show up
thing.
to the basketball games and everything. They're like, oh, where's Chanel's mom? Miss Lopez, like, where are you at? Da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay. But before I was all that, I was Cherese, you know?
That's right.
And who is Cherese? And Cherese is grateful to be in this space and in this time. But what is it that I need to learn from this enclosure and just being alone? So what I started to do was create. It's like there's but so much work I could do. So what I did was I redid my kitchen myself, and I did this staining thing on my cabinets. I'll share it with you guys another time. But the contractors came and they were like, who'd you get to do your cabinets? It was me. They were like, how did you learn that? I was like, I don't know. I just did it. I got the paint colors and I just started. They're like, you didn't watch a video? I'm like, no. Just got the paint colors and started experimenting and did this distress thing, you know, and it made me feel good. You know, I said, if I have to spend time in my space and with myself, I need to feel good, you know? And so helping me feel good and helping me come to realize that I'm so much more than what I was labeled as, you know, and I have to be grateful for that journey, because now on the other side of it, I'm like, I have a granddaughter now, you know, and
Beautiful granddaughter, beautiful.
Thank you.
She's a social media star.
Yes, she's
social media star. I want to say something real quick. Please don't lose your thought.
Okay.
On Sunday's show, I had shared, I'm telling all of our listeners out there, when this is the most free therapy. Like, these therapists is $45 plus per hour. You get so much information right here and tools right here, information right here, Midday Tea, Sunday, Mama C, Lady Wisdom, you get so much information on a regular basis when we have this community and fellowship of conversation, that you can take this and, if God, please build upon what you're feeling and you're seeing right now, because Cherese is talking from a vulnerable spot, and you know how hard that is to get to a place that's so vulnerable to share and to give so publicly. So I'm pleased, our listeners, take this, listen, hold it dear to your heart. Know that it's coming from love.
Yes,
that's right.
So, okay, finish your thought, because it was. I'm feeding it.
Okay.
Little Mo is in my head, so you know.
So you know, I have a granddaughter now, and at that time, what was saw as so shameful and such a bad sin, because I was so young, and you know, sex before marriage, all this other crazy stuff, I was not as grateful as I should have been until I was 33 and I had to have a hysterectomy and I wasn't able to have any more children. So it made me really reflect and say, if that didn't happen when it happened, I wouldn't have my legacy right now, because my brother, you guys know, just passed away. He didn't have any children. And then I have another brother. He doesn't have any children yet. So right now, my daughter and my granddaughter are the only heirs for the Span legacy to be able to live on. But what happens is we get so caught up a lot of times in the negative stuff of why things happen, instead of what lesson do I need to learn. And it's not even just your lesson, it's the lesson for the people that are involved too, but it's not your responsibility to make them get it. You're the one who has to learn that, you know, and take that positive energy and say, where am I going to use this in the future? Because it all builds character. It builds, and you said the knowledge part, you know, the therapy, you know, I've been therapist 2 a week.
How much it costs? How much it costs?
Each therapist, the minimum is like $65 a session.
And this is free for you people. Listen, this is free. So
you guys are getting years of therapy for free.
Share and like.
Exactly.
Share and like. All right.
People are like, oh, you want to go shopping? I'm like, no, I got a therapy bill that I need to pay. I can make it to next week. But you know, it just warms my heart. Like every time I see my daughter and her partner and my granddaughter, to see how they're moving forward. So, you know, so like my struggle and all the stuff and the pain that I went through and having to leave them, because I just walked away from everything, my business, everything. And the only thing that kept me sane was I'm just grateful that I'm healthy. And I kept thanking God, because I've been sick too. That's another story. I've been sick too, to the point where I just couldn't do anything but lay there and wait to heal. But I was just so grateful to be healthy and to be alive and to be of sane mind, because what has happened to me, I should not be here talking to you guys. I really should be in a padded room somewhere like this, heavy on meds. So I'm just, you know, beyond gratitude and the grace to be able to sit with you all with all this wisdom and knowledge. So I just want to thank you and tell you thank you for being you, being who you are, and showing up to where you're mandated to show up. And that's not an easy thing. So thank you.
It's not an easy thing. And the gratitude and changing the attitude it's a whole piece, because sometimes we are so caught up in our stuff that our attitude is nothing about it that's grateful.
Right.
You know, it's woe is me. It's why. How could this, you know, we pray every Sunday. Why is God not listening? But let me again, today, this conversation is confirmation of the journey, and what you did today is teaching. If you didn't go through this,
Right,
the listeners couldn't hear this story because it wouldn't exist.
That's right.
Couldn't hear what happened, that the test made the testimony. They couldn't hear that. If I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't have a testimony. I had no test.
right.
Jane the same. Sherry, her wisdom. I swear to God, I know damn well I couldn't walk in Sherry's shoes, because the what she be dropping, I know that came from some stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
I'd
saying?
be in a padded room with Cherese tomorrow.
Matching outfits.
You know what
I'm telling you.
Stuff you hear and you say, oh man, you know, and now I'm in my corner, like with Substance's video, and she's in the corner, and it's like a boxing ring. I'm in my corner, and my coach is just giving it to me. And that comes from understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. And then they're telling it to the person that right now I need it so badly. And again, what you're sharing, how you're sharing it, the transparency of how you're sharing it, the heart that is wrapped around it is so powerful. It's so powerful. Oh.
It gives us all an opportunity to say the attitude for gratitude is life's experiences, right?
Yes.
We take every experience and have to learn a lesson from it. And that we're fortunate enough to have been able to, so that we could share. The one thing that I'm grateful for is that in our space where we are, we also learn that we are the example that others see, right? So I have 2 daughters and I have a son, and I'm always conscious that, you know, people always said to me, because when I got divorced, people said, well, why won't you go out there and date? And so I had to be conscious, and I had to explain to them, I have a son, and I never wanted to lose my son's respect. So I would not bring different guys in and out of my home because I didn't want him to look at me and say that this is all women, because we don't realize that we put that on our kids. I also didn't want my daughters to think that it was okay to have different men in my life.
Right.
Oh, I don't want you walking around with that idea. You need to be sure that I learned. So in the process of my learning, I had to learn that people were watching me even when I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
You know, like if you look at I have 4 grandchildren, and my granddaughter, I got a 3-year-old granddaughter that is closest to me because she's in town. The other ones are out of town. And my granddaughter, if you listen to her, when she's playing, she's actually repeating things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
you always have to
my
be
daughter's
conscious
first
that
word
they are
was
sponges.
S-H-I-T. It was
Sponges.
S-H-I-T because she was listening to me. And that was my curse of choice. And she was like, and I'm like, let me fix me.
That's right. And so in the process of it, right? So in that process, did we all learn something? We learned that we got sponges around us.
VCR.
We learned that people are watching us. We learned that we can help others with our experiences.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
if as Tiff said, the therapy sessions that we have with amongst each other and that we sharing with the world are priceless.
Mm-hmm.
The $50 that they paying per hour or 45-minute sessions, they're not paying us for this. To learn to say that I could take wisdom from Jane and Cherese and Tiffanie and Mama C and Tiffany Coe and
Lady
Kalima and Mika and the other ladies, to say that even in that little bit is huge. It makes you grateful that we have a sistership for real. Like, this sistership is huge. It teaches us that it's not only about the females, it's about us teaching our males that are around us. I had to tell somebody, I couldn't teach my son how to be a man, but I could teach him how to treat women. And I needed to make sure that I had positive men in his life so that he could learn from them, because his father wasn't available to give him what he needed. And then you realize that as parents, the one thing that we didn't get with that job is a manual.
Jane said that
an
on
employee
Sunday.
handbook. We didn't get the parental handbook that teaches us how to be a parent. But my experiences have taught me so much. So I'm grateful that I actually learned from my experiences, and I have the ability to share with my sisters.
Because I know I'm going to have a grandboy. I know I'm going to have, because there's no female. The only male here is Sean and the dog. Everything else get a monthly. Everything in this house has a monthly, okay? And it's like, come on, I need me some more testosterone because I need to really feel like a queen, because these princesses think their crown is bigger than mine sometimes.
Well, you better know, don't rush it, because you talking about, I'm no longer, you're a mom. When I tell you that, your grandbabies come in, Cherese, you could attest to this. Does not your grandbabies, Jane, I'm sure you can, to explain the love that you have for your grandchildren is truly, truly unexplainable.
Yeah.
All you know is that you love them. Not that you don't love their parents, but you can't explain the love that you have for these babies.
Right.
They come in and they take over your life.
Well, I love the jewel you dropped about, I can't teach him how to be a man, but I could teach him how to treat a woman. And that's why I said this book, Sistahship, Sherry, Lady Wisdom, it's like, you just handwrite it. Don't worry about nothing else. Just handwrite it and then put it out there. $9.99 on Amazon, please.
ebook, 15 pages.
That's it. That's all
I'm talking to myself as I'm telling you.
That's right. Y'all better know. Y'all ministering to
3 fingers pointing back at me. 3.
Well, listen, I've had,
but that goes for you too.
Yes.
I know you already know.
Yeah, I had 3 brothers, 3 sons, 3 grandsons, and then I got myself 2 granddaughters. Ooh. And let me tell you, they run the show big time.
Yes, they do.
They run the show. Even the boys listen to them. Yeah, it's hysterical to watch. And my son, who has the 2 daughters, he was always, I'd go to the mall and if I'd write out a check and the young girl would go, "Oh, I know your son Anthony." And I'd be like, "Was he nice to you or was he mean to you?" Because if he was nice to you, then yes, it's my son. If he was mean to you, then he's his father's son. That's his father's son. But yeah, so I'm telling you, Tiff, you're going to have the boy that you're going to just over the moon. But yes, Sherry, you're right. Being a grandma and Cherese, it's a whole different level of love.
And that is a reason to be grateful, right?
Yes,
It is,
Gratitude.
because
absolutely.
that little space in between nobody talks about, of the empty nest syndrome, is really real. You know,
Yes.
it's like after the children are gone, they go to college. Okay, you love your spouse, that's wonderful, it's great, but guess what? It's like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and what's
Yeah.
happening here? You know, so your life completely changes, and from that time to the time that they, you know, meet their partners and start having children and stuff, you got another phase of life, you know, that you're kind of muddling through, that you didn't get an instruction manual for. And I told my friends, because a lot of my friends are a lot older, I said, none of you guys told me that when children get older, the problems get bigger. You know, I thought that it was going to get easier. They're like,
No.
Well, you know what? I think what makes it harder is because your children were your in between, like they were your buffer.
Mhm.
And in the process of trying to learn how to parent, you forgot to learn how to grow together.
yes.
And then you get to the empty nest, because I'm there,
Mhm.
and you get to that empty nest and you realize that you really don't know who you sleeping next to. Talking about sleeping with the enemy. Is it because you guys were growing, and in the process of growing, he went that way and you went that way, and the focus was continued on the kids, and then they tell you you know, it's funny because when you speak to someone that is spiritual, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. Religious is somebody else's rules.
Mhm.
But in the spiritual sense, when they tell you to love your spouse first, right? It tells you love God first with your whole heart, mind, body, and soul. And then it tells you to love your spouse and then others. But it also the Bible teaches us that we are to, it says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. But it also says a man shall leave his mother and his father and cleave unto his wife, and they become one. We don't remember that we are still supposed to love ourselves first, because that's a part of loving the spouse that we're supposed to do first, right? We're supposed to love God, then our spouse. We forgot that we was one with our spouse and supposed to love ourselves. So we learn all about what they want, their likes, their dislikes, what they want us to wash their clothes with, where they want to go, what sports to put out, how to make the wings that they like. And in the process, we forget about ourselves. And
really quickly, I don't know if we say too much, but y'all need to come on Sunday, because the part 2 of what Sherry is sharing right now on Sunday, this Sunday, is going to be off the chain. And I'm very similar. Like I said, I met my husband in church. I have adopted, and I grew up with Baptist, Pentecostal, Islam, Buddhism, because, you know, my mother was whatever. Like, oh, this is what's happening this week? Okay, let me learn how to do this. Let me learn how to chant.
she was finding her way.
She was finding her way. So I saw all these different ways. I was reading Dick Gregory when I was a kid, juicing and all of that, and Maya and everything. So I say to you guys, this Sunday is going to be off the chain. Sherry is touching right now, but it's going to be full of meat and potatoes. And it's going to be amazing. And oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I'll come on, because I had a realization of exactly what you're talking about, Sherry. Yesterday, I went to the podiatrist, and
Was he cute?
Say that again.
Was he cute?
He was, and he kept saying,
Okay.
"You familiar," and I was like,
girl, you never know. He might be looking at you on Midday tea.
I have a mask on. Yeah, exactly. I got a mask on. I'm like, my eyes look familiar. It's like this a little bit. So he's like, oh, I don't want to mess up your pedicure. I said, oh, it needs to be done. He goes, not compared to most of the feet that I've seen. Your feet are beautiful. I was like, oh, thanks. Anyway, I went to the podiatrist, and my foot, one of my bones was having a problem when I put my shoes on. So the nurse asked me, how long has that been happening? And I was embarrassed because it's been happening for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And after she said that, I was thinking, and I'm like, I ran, I cooked, I cleaned, I did all of these things, and I was happy about my life, but I wasn't happy about myself.
Ooh.
And
Wow.
Ouch.
he said, we have to fix your feet, because as you progress in age, if you don't fix your feet, then that translates to your knees, and then it translates to your hips. And that's why people are getting knee and hip replacements, because they never address the problems with their feet. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I am not putting myself on the back burner anymore. Even though I thought I was taking care of myself, I still really wasn't, you know? So if you got an ache or you got
an
a pain,
edible arrangement.
okay.
An edible arrangement. And an invite to the midday tea. An invite to the midday tea. And then we will have our, you know what we do. This is what we do.
Listen, she could invite him to midday tea, and it could be a day of teaching us how to love ourselves.
And our feet.
Head to toe.
Head to toe. Literally.
You know, I mean, you know, we all need to know that.
We all need to know that by the hottie, what is it from the Grey's Anatomy? The hottie, whatever. The hottie podiatrist.
But I mean, if you think about it, right? And when he was touching your feet, he probably let you know that by touching your feet. In all honesty,
right,
with the reflexology that happens when they do deal with your feet, they can tell you what's wrong with your body.
Yes.
Your liver's acting up, or your heart, or your circulation isn't flowing right. Girl, you just got him to just look. You was getting a little jewels today on your own with your seasonings, and then you turn around and you happen to have this guy that's playing with the bottom of your feet, telling you how pretty they are. You look familiar. Believe it or not, your eyes. They'll tell you the eyes are the gates to the soul.
Yeah.
Like, if he's seeing you through your eyes, he's touched you without touching you.
Yeah.
Like, you know how
orgasmic.
This is another show. Wait a minute.
Lady Wisdom, this is page number 19.
I'm saying, all I'm saying is you could create a whole show just with somebody looking in your eye. You look familiar.
Yeah, and he said it like 5 times, and I was like, he's like, where do you live? And I told him, he's like, oh, okay. And I was just like,
Listen, him reminding that and remembering that he may have been treating you very well for that reason.
Yeah. True.
You say they tell you never know whose life you touch, right?
Yeah.
Edible arrangement. It's not, it ain't a big like, oh, I love you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have never had a bad one. That fruit is always different. So I'm
It's good.
Get an edible arrangement. Just send it to Dr. McCarty or whatever his name is. I don't know.
Dr. McCarty, I like that.
It's so funny because and this is another thing. If you're not in tune, right? If you're not paying attention, if you're not centered, you're not doing that meditation, if you haven't gotten there, you can miss things like that, So I was like, wow, I'm glad I actually went, because 10 years from now, I probably would have had issue with my knee, not knowing why I'm having a knee problem. And, they're like, oh, you got to do surgery and all of this other type of stuff. So it's kind of like, you have to be so appreciative of everything. Say hi to people when you see them in the hallway, even if you have a mask on. Even when you're smiling, and like you said, the eyes are the windows to the soul. You can still see when people are smiling underneath their mask,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't know, just something so simple, just one word, hello, how are you, nice shirt, nice earrings, nice bag, nice foods, nice coat, love that color on you, whatever it is can change someone's life, because
save their life. Save their
life.
You know how many people walk around feeling invisible? No one will notice me. No one loves me. I have no one. And you just smiled at them and kept them alive. You just saved their life. I tell you, a small act of kindness, a small word, just as, hey, how you doing? People look at you like you're crazy, especially now with your mask on.
Mm-hmm.
You walk by, you say good morning, they looking at you like you crazy.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I had to pop in. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
To pop in because that's why we're doing Secret Sister. Because that's more act of kindness sometimes. You come home from a long day and boom, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't want anything. And you see something pop in and you get a gift. You don't know who it came from, but you got something, just a little something that makes you smile, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us are sending out gifts right now. Secret Sister. Just to random people, you know, that get a gift. And you never know. I got one the other day and I was having a hard day. And I was like, I didn't order anything. And then it was just a cup. And I'm like, oh, you know, it brought a difference to me. So you just never know. Just some random act will change your day. But I'm going to step back out because I know you got
No, you're looking good.
No,
Your lips
you good.
are
Come
popping.
on, Chef Wendy.
I'm just
I want to put it out there that I need.
sweet potato going on.
If I'm going to put it out there because people always say, "Oh, what do you give her?" You know, I need some help with lipstick.
Okay.
For
I know that sounds
Tiffany
so
be having some colors, boy.
We having some colors, and it stay all day.
I don't know how that works. I need some of that stay all day stuff too. I won't wear it because it's kind of like you have
They
some
have
lipstick
that.
over here.
It's so funny because I said when we do the show, my thing is my lips. So I grabbed a bunch of lipsticks and I had the colors all out. And I'm like, okay, well, what color I'm gonna put on today when we do the show?
I gotta be more bold. You know, I've been a chapstick gloss girl since, you know, the roll-on
With you.
gloss from when
Yes,
you was
ma'am.
feeling it taste like bubble gum. I always thought that was good.
I had a banana one yesterday underneath my mask.
There you go.
So what are we, you know, I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to even, like this year, I don't usually do Thanksgiving ever. I'm a Christmas girl. I go to my in-laws or like really my in-laws, either my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, somebody over there is cooking, or even my mother. And this year I'm cooking. So what is on the menu for this COVID Thanksgiving? And I'm grateful I can do it, but what's on our menus? Because I saw you pulling up some banana pudding and pie and...
I know. She just showing out.
Showing out.
Hey, what you got on the menu?
Huh?
Well, huh?
What you
What
making?
got on the menu?
Jane, what you got on the menu? Because she already got the lights up. I told her, she said, she gave me this cockamamie story on Sunday. This is why story. You need if you're a brown girl, you need a white sister too. Because they will teach you how to start early in life. Because you know, we need last minute stuff. But my sister Jane, no, that's not what we do. We get it done. We don't have a plan. And I'm like, I got to learn these plans. And that's why you got to keep, yes. Thank you.
Listen, I was waiting for the weekend and my daughter had me cracking up. She already got her tree up.
Look at the lips.
She gonna put up her
man.
lights.
Oh, nice.
We have dinner.
Nice.
I can't even blame it on being brown no more. I'm just lazy. It's just me.
I just had to pop in and say I love all of you guys so much. Y'all just don't even understand.
We love you too, Mama C.
Love you.
Love you too.
Okay,
Both of you.
and the person who's really doing the cooking has to go back to stirring the pot. So, everything else I'm making. So,
You know how to stir the pot.
I'm not cooking this year.
Stir the pot.
Peter and Taylor stacked the beans. That's as far as it got. The rest of the work came from me.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Hey, we still got a whole day ahead of us.
Oh, I love it.
Love it.
I'm still trying to get the menu from Jane.
Oh, me.
Jane, what you cooking?
Well, actually, I'm not cooking this year. My son and daughter-in-law are, because I'm going to be helping out at the shelter and answering the crisis
Well,
line.
God bless you.
Unfortunately, it does get busy, but I'm okay with passing that torch to cook. I'm not kidding you.
Me too.
I hear you.
Who wants to take the torch?
Yeah, I will tell you, I make my daughter-in-laws, not make them, but I'll say to them, do you want to learn how to make eggplant parm? And they all come with little pads, and I walk them through it, and I have no problem with passing
I
that
should
torch
turn on the
on.
light.
As coming from a big Italian family, Christmas Eve is our big
Yeah, the
meal.
7 fishes.
Yep, and we always did it. I always did it, and when my kids started to take it over, my youngest son was like, "Now, Mom, don't feel bad. We want to take it over." And I'm like, "Take it! Here, go, 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 go. Run with it, run with it."
No, they
I don't think
that
the
we
kids
want
even
the
realize
job.
how excited you are to share
Oh,
that.
yeah. I'm very excited to pass that torch. Oh, yeah.
I can't remember when.
I see you ladies fussing. Cut it out.
Here, so based on COVID, like I said, we usually go to my in-laws' house. And my mother-in-law, her stuffing, dressing, whatever region y'all are hearing this from, is sick. It is really amazing. So, you kind of like, you may hang out a couple of times and watch, but you still don't get what's going on. So because of COVID, it's like, oh, Mom, can I have, well, first of all, let me just say this, because I'm a bold chick, but I'm not that bold. So I went to every other member of the family. I never went to her and asked for the recipe. You know what I'm saying? So I went to everybody else, the daughters, everybody else, recipe. And they were like, well, really, I never done it. And then the other daughter, I've never done it. I'm like, what is wrong with these people in this family? Yesterday, my mother-in-law calls me, and she don't call nobody, even for their birthday. You call her for your birthday, right? So she calls me, and I pick up. I say, hey, Mom. All right, baby. She 92. All right, baby. I heard you wanted the dressing recipe, so I'm gonna tell you the dressing recipe. And she said it would boom, 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 boom. You bake your bread.
And they know it. Yep.
And you bake your cornbread, and you leave it like this, and you boil the giblets, and you do this and you do that. She said, and I'm not leaving nothing out, because I know some people like to leave one thing out so you don't get it right. I'm gonna give you everything. And if you have any problems, call me. Girl, I'm so
Trying to
grateful.
put the eggs on for the potato salad.
There you go. There you go. There you go. I said, Lord, I'm the Bailey that's gonna take this stuffing forward. Okay?
Yes.
That's right.
The legacy.
That's right.
The tradition, those are all so important. And I think a lot of society has forgotten about that. The true things that really, really matter. Your grandparents, your great-grandparents, the wisdom of the elders, we're watching all this crap on TV and stuff like that. You got people right in front of you who have the information and the knowledge that you need. Embrace that, and love on that. I see people having issues with their parents. I'm like, love your parents. I don't have any.
That's right.
And nobody could ever take their place. Be grateful for that.
That's true.
And
You only get one set.
You get one set. And those of you that are watching with us, that might not have family or, might not have children or what have you, my heart goes out to you, and I want you to know that you matter and that you are still loved.
Yes.
And if you have friends that have become your family, let them know that you love them if you haven't already, because this time of year is very sad for a lot of people. They get depressed, they get anxiety. Some people, they got to go meet family members. Maybe things weren't so great before, but you know what? Bury all of that crap. It doesn't matter, and just learn to love. And that's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I had a friend that, I have a couple of friends. We still love each other, but we didn't speak to each other for a long time because, things happen. We grew up in kindergarten. We got mad at each other. We just, whatever. And we actually spoke yesterday, and we were talking, and she said, hey, you look great. The help you're doing helps. She told me she had surgery on her knees. And I said, you know what I'm going to say to you, right? I ain't going to call her out here. And she said, what? I said, we're getting older. You got to take the weight off. And she said, I know. So she said, and then I had another one. She said, the beginning of the year, I usually do a 10-day green smoothie cleanse. She said, I'm going to treat myself when you do it on the 1st. And I'm going to start doing what I got to do to take the weight off. So sometimes you just got to, bury the hatchet, because COVID has taught us that life is short. We have friends that we've known for years, and we've decided that, we're not going to speak to them because we got attitudes. So we did break the ice yesterday because, and it just so happened that one of us passed away. And it was like, oh my God, for real? And we've all gone together. We've all been in school since kindergarten, all the way up. And we were just like, we wouldn't speak to each other. And we decided, we're gonna break this here. So we started talking yesterday, and all of us got different lives. We have kids, but we're gonna start talking. And I actually invited one-on-one so that we can, talk about that, because if it's not to the point where you just, because some things you have to have boundaries. So there are things where you got to love people from a distance. So you got to look at the reality of certain things. And if it's petty and it's just really, why aren't you speaking to that person? You need to reevaluate it and reassess and really get back on the ball and say, hey, if that's somebody that you really care about, speak to them.
Amen. Amen with your Wonder Woman bracelet.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of all kind of powers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys, and I know if you want to jumpstart a 10-day with them, I'm with it. So maybe you might want to do it in December, since you're having this right before Christmas, so they can have on their Mrs. Claus outfit and it'd be a little more snap.
Well, you know what? I usually try to do it like the first of the year, because that's when everybody gets into, the
transformation. I'm going to change.
Right. And then you can get everybody and they're good. So this year, some people going to promise that they're going to continue on and they're going to do the discipline. Because it's all about discipline. I don't care what.
Yeah, but I'm going on the 2nd of January. So that don't work out for me.
Your birthday.
You gotta start early.
It's your birthday. So we'll excuse you the 2nd of January. But those who want to really do the discipline and get down to the nitty gritty, some of them said, okay, I'm going to do this. Because it's really just about what you eat. I watch everything that I eat. But now, I've learned to, when I want to eat something, I eat it, but I know how to go back and keep myself on track. But it took years to do that. It wasn't overnight. Go ahead.
And there comes a point where you got to get serious, I've been pre-diabetic for a while, and, I'm kind of, okay. So I'm like, you know what? I better get serious with this, because the older you get, the easier it is to fall into the illness traps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Every morning I get up and take my fasting blood sugar. I'd gotten it down to 103. Then the other day I had a little sweets and, kind of overdid it a little bit, not too much. And it went up to 129. This morning, 126. So, you got to know your numbers so you can be in control of what's going on with your health. So, everybody needs to get an annual physical. Mm-hmm. And you need to know what your numbers are, what your A1C is, what your blood
cholesterol
is.
Yeah.
You need to know what's going on in your health, because you know what? Without knowing, you are out of control of your own life, your own health, and we have no one to blame but ourselves, because we are responsible for taking care of ourselves. It's nobody else's responsibility, and when we don't, then the moaning and the groaning and the crying and the laying and the whatever is not going to do any good. So we have to become proactive when it comes to our own health. I'm starting to drop the weight again, because I had gone back up during the COVID time. But that additional weight is what the doctor said probably put me back at the pre-diabetes mode. But my father had both his legs amputated before he died, and then died at age 50 in a diabetic coma. I ain't going out. So I need to keep a consistent check on my numbers, especially the diabetic numbers, So it's up to us, how much do you want to love yourself? That's true. And the older we get, we got to drop the weight. We have to take the weight off. Otherwise, we suffer a lot of health conditions that we could have avoided.
Yeah.
You need a little help doing it, don't be afraid of the help, you know?
Absolutely.
If you have insurance and the insurance will pay for the tools that are out there for you to help you do it, then do it. However, remember that it's what you eat. So if you're gonna go back to doing what you normally did, then forget it, don't even bother. But if you're gonna discipline yourself, then go ahead and do it. And then I also wanna say is you rub off on each other. We all watch each other.
Yeah.
So, like we said before last week, choose your tribe wisely. So she watches me.
And you choose your tribe wisely.
So I rubbed off. So she's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold up. I gotta catch up with you.
Exactly.
And she started doing what she had to do. So
I'm like, oh,
we
yeah.
watch each
I
other.
want to mention a tribe member that I know is a tribe member to Mama C and a tribe member to myself who passed away this week. If you're from NYC and you're a certain age,
Yeah.
David Dinkins was the first and only
Yes.
African American mayor.
Right.
I was part of a situation with learning about business, and he was very instrumental in taking minorities and understanding business and helping us to open businesses, including when Christopher Martin, AKA Play Martin from the Kid and Play, we were doing barbershops and franchising them out. And he took a real intricate conversation with us and assist us in building that brand. And I know with the work that Mama C has done. So I want to definitely pay homage and take a second for us to just recognize a great man, a trailblazer, and also Madam Joyce Dinkins, his wife, because you can't do nothing.
Yeah. When Joyce died, I knew he wasn't going to be here much longer because they're very close. And, you know, when people are together that long, it's not when one goes, the other goes. And I love them both dearly.
So great gratitude and servitude, because that was a serving man.
Yes, he was.
He was not a politician. He was a serving man.
And there's a difference.
And there is a huge difference. So we were very, very blessed as New Yorkers to have him and have that moment. Prayerfully, anyone that was an earshot, even away from the TV screen of hearing him, got a jewel or a nugget that took you and take your family or your legacy to the next level. So again, I pay homage.
Absolutely.
So with that note, Tiffany or Jane or Sherry, one of you would like to close us out?
Well, Tiffany's there.
I'm here. What I'm going to say is I think I'm going to close us out with a very first theme song that we had. I guess y'all all know what that is, right?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Indigenous people.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
happy Indigenous People Day.
And I'll see you tomorrow, Tiff Bro.
Thank you.
Yes, you will.
Thank you to Substance and everybody, Jane, Tiffany, Lady Wisdom, Sharia Moore. I mean, you can't do what we're doing without everybody.
And it doesn't work. And we couldn't ask for a better team. I mean, it's powerful. I mean, I get goosebumps every time we all come together.
So on that note,
I will tell you though, and I always say this to you privately, but publicly, I'm always grateful that the inclusion of everyone that you have invited to be in this group is humbling.
The inclusion is what matters, but you know what? Sometimes you have to watch out who you include, and sometimes you have to do a lane switch, and we've done that. So we have an awesome team together now that
it's amazing.
That's amazing.
And on that note, I need to go to the ladies' room. So
on that note, we'll see everybody later.
Oh, I love it.
Too funny.
I can't with her. I just can't with her. My ladies room is the kitchen today. It's the kitchen today.
That's right. That's right.
Mac and cheese, lasagna with homemade pasta.
And if you ever need her installed, you can reach out to Substance. She makes all these stores. That's my client. Knowing that I felt lost, nobody to judge. All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Go says, we together, no slaughter. No emotions, everybody know the daughter. No boundaries, no borders. We show up.